Happy Monday and welcome into the PHNX Sun Devils show, of course, coming to you live from Studio K, presented by Circle K. Make sure you join Inner Circle for free by downloading that Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. I'm Anthony Totri, joined as always by the captain of this beautiful vessel, Captain Redbeard, behind the Mac, pushing all the buttons, making all of the magic happen. Rubus is off today, everybody. I want you to go to Twitter or X or whatever you call it and wish that guy a happy birthday. Also, make sure you hit that like button, you hit the subscribe button, and you drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. Just me and Captain Redbeard today, chat. So any and all comments, questions, concerns, anything, throw them in the YouTube comments, and I will make sure that we get to as many as we possibly can. A lot on the docket today. I tweeted it out. It feels like every couple of hours, Arizona State is landing another commitment, both on the men's basketball side of things for Bobby Hurley, and on the flip side, Kenny Dillingham and the Devils. So we got kind of a split show today. We're going to be talking some men's hoops and then, of course, some football as well, because I don't know if you guys know this. We are in the midst of spring football. It's my personal favorite time of the year because I get to go out there. I get a tan, which I don't know if you guys could tell, but I've been working on it. I'm still kind of pasty white out there, but we're putting in the work the same way that Dilly is out on the field. JJB in the chat quickly saying a Hurley heater. Well, let's go ahead. Let's dive into it because the Sun Devils, they struck first this morning on the hardwood, landing Marques Jackson, a 4-star center, the number 9 center in the class of 2025, ranked by 24/7 Sports. I believe this kid's about 6'8", so he's not the biggest center that you are going to see. Ironically enough, he did go to the same school as Jaden Quaintance and Trevor Best. That is, of course, the word of God. Now, this kid, a ton of talent, a ton of potential, like we've seen with a number of recruits and transfers for Bobby Hurley in the past. I think the biggest question is why? Why did Marques Jackson, a guy who was previously committed to Maryland, why did he opt to commit to Arizona State? Well, first and foremost, you had the coaching change at Maryland. So Marques Jackson decided to take his talents elsewhere, but he had a ton of offers. This kid could have gone to Auburn. He had an offer from there as well. Auburn, of course, a Final Four team. He had offers from Georgetown, Illinois, Iowa, Tennessee, West Virginia, New Mexico State. He could have gone a number of different places. So why did he choose Arizona State? That is the question. Before we get to the why part of that, let's go ahead and take a look at what this kid can actually. He is going up against high schoolers at this point, but immediately, hey, I'll take a jumper from a big. Something we didn't see a ton of from Arizona State's bigs, not named Jaden Quaintance, but this kid, he has hops. He absolutely thrives in the paint. I think if he's able to develop his jumper a little bit more, hopefully somewhat of a three-point shot as well, maybe he can kind of look a little bit like what Devin Cambridge did at Arizona State in the past. Just an absolute bounce man. Again, you'll notice this kid just thrives underneath the rim. He's got great post moves already. He's got an offensive bag, and he plays defense too. I don't know how much I love the left-handed look of that shot, but hey, if it falls, that's all that really matters for Arizona State. Again, the number 9 center in the class of 2025. He's not Jaden Quaintance. You'll need to move on from maybe having those expectations for this kid, but I would anticipate you see a lot of Marques Jackson this season for your Arizona State Sun Devils because, again, I think with a real point guard, this kid can absolutely thrive in his first year at Arizona State, jump in the pass there, and then we're just going to go ahead and slam it. This kid, look at this. We got another one. I believe this is a windmill dunk that we got going on here. He can jump out of the gym. Again, doesn't really have a three-point shot. I'm not overly confident in his mid-range abilities as of right now, but is still so early. Really excited to see what this kid can become at Arizona State. Again, I think this roster still needs more help outside of Marques Jackson. ASU did get news today that Trevor Best will be returning next season. So having him, having Mo Odom, I'm still in the camp that I would love Frankie Collins to come back. I think Frankie Collins and Marques Jackson could be a real good 1-2 punch. JJB in the chat saying, best news of the day, in my opinion, is Trevor Best returning. Feel like the program needed to show it could retain some talent, especially a guy that showed some legit flashes down the stretch. JJB also saying, better guys may have committed/transferred, but Best returning is a good sign. Yeah, Arizona State definitely needed to retain some talent at that guard spot. You lost Austin Nunez, Alston Mason no longer with any eligibility. We know you lost Josan Sannon. And then in terms of the big department, you lost Bashir Jihad, who technically didn't have any eligibility left on the docket. You lost Jaden Quaintance, who is yet to commit to a school as of right now. And then you lost Sean Phillips to the transfer portal. So in terms of bigs, this roster still has some work to do. I know that this is not the only kid in the recruiting class that Arizona State managed to get just in terms of size-wise, right? You got Marques Jackson. I believe Frederick Leo Curtis is the name of the other, who is another forward. You got another guy from Oakland, who we'll get into in just a bit. But again, none of these guys are the same size as a Sean Phillips. None of these guys are the same size of a Jaden Quaintance. Again, this kid is listed as a center. He is only 6'8". You hope he grows. He is 230 pounds, so he is built for this, but I think he realistically fits more at a power forward spot than he does a true center. So getting back to where we started on this whole thing, the question of why. Why would the number 9 center in the class of 2025 commit to an Arizona State program that doesn't have their head coach locked up for a long period of time? Again, Bobby Hurley going into the last year of his deal. An extension does not feel imminent by any means. I think it would be a serious shock if Hurley got an extension at any point before Arizona State legitimately made some serious moves in the Big 12. So there's that part of the question. I think this kid, again, when we look at his offers, he was committed to Maryland, an NCAA tournament team. I mentioned the coaching change. That's why recruitment opened back up. Well, he could have gone to Tennessee. That was an NCAA tournament team. He could have gone to Auburn, a Final Four team. So why Arizona State? Well, I think one of the really good things for the Sun Devils from last year is if you are a younger player, either in the transfer portal or a recruit, well, then you can go ahead and you can look at the Sun Devils starters last season. You can look at the Sun Devils contributors last season. And immediately you see Jaden Quaintance, the guy for Arizona State. Did he have the craziest stat lines in every game? No, not necessarily. But I think when you turned on Sun Devil basketball and Jaden Quaintance was in there, you saw that he had definitely the biggest impact as a true freshman. Continue to go down that list. Who else was another big impact guy? Well, how about at guard, Josan Sannon? Again, he had his heaters. He had his cold streaks. But again, Josan Sannon as a true freshman was contributing night in, night out for Arizona State, whether his shot was falling or not. And even with both of those guys not playing in Bobby Hurley and Arizona State's recent contest in the Crown, you still tuned in and you saw Amir Ali, another true freshman who I think continued to grow game in, game out. So immediately, if I'm Marques Jackson or, again, a young player looking to commit somewhere, I see that these young guys didn't have to ride the bench, right? At least not for entire stretches of games. They got to go play immediately. That is something that is attractive to these guys, especially guys that don't maybe anticipate being in college for the length of their eligibility. Guys that are planning on playing 1, 2 seasons. Well, this kid can come in. He can play. He will play pretty immediately. Will he start at the 4? Potentially. Will he start at the 5? I think that would be a mistake. Starting a 6'8" freshman at center in the Big 12. When you have guys and you have programs specifically like Houston, Iowa State, Arizona, Baylor, Kansas, where their bigs are bigs. They're 7-footers. They're athletic. They can do everything. That's not a knock on Marques Jackson. I'm just saying, again, he's 6'8", 230 pounds, projects more as a 4, to be completely frank with you. Will in the chat saying, kids that chose to play for Bobby over Final Four teams just show that they're just here for a bag and to be the, quote, guy. That mentality is the whole reason why nobody does well under Hurley. I'm going to get to that comment in a second. Ben saying he chose to come here because you can't be on the PHNX Sun Devils podcast if you go to a different school. It's absolutely right, Ben.
Facts.
That's why we're all here. That's why Captain Redbeard's here. I know he had a long list of potential podcasts that he could have chosen, and he chose to be right here. Isn't that right, Captain Redbeard?
Yeah, I mean, come on. It wasn't really a competition.
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean, we didn't offer you the biggest NIL bag.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we got you playing time immediately.
There you go.
Look, Will, to your point about the bag and the guy mentality, I think that is true to an extent. I think, and this may be just my personal opinion, but I want you and everybody else listening or in the chat to step into those shoes. Step into the shoes of a kid that is a top 10 nationally ranked center, right? Or a shooting guard or a point guard. It doesn't really matter. In this day and age of college sports, what do you want to do? Well, if I'm a kid of this caliber, I want to play. I want to play immediately, okay? I want to play in a major conference, and I want to get money, and I want to win. 4 things, right? 5, let's go a healthy 5 here, and I want to be developed into the player that I think I can be. Well, let's go down the docket for Arizona State. Is Marques Jackson going to play? Absolutely. This team, in terms of depth and quality talent, is not to the standard of the rest of the Big 12. That is not a knock on Hurley. That is factual. Just go look at all of the other Big 12 teams that made the NCAA tournament, that made runs in the Big 12 tournament, and look where Arizona State was. 15 out of 16 in this conference. The best college basketball conference in college sports. I know there's going to be people that say the SEC. I think we'll get our answer tonight when Houston and Florida go at it. I'm taking Houston. Okay? So, immediately, you could play. Are you going to get paid? Well, the one bright side to Josan Sannon and Jaden Quaintance leaving is, hey, that NIL war chest, shout out James Harden, we got some money to spend. We're going to go spend it on this kid, a kid that we believe can be the face of Arizona State, that can be a contributor at Arizona State. Okay, so he's getting paid. 1, something that you need in today's era of college sports, especially if you're a young cat like this guy. I'm going to play. Okay, what about the conference? Well, I just brought it up earlier. You got the Big 12 being represented in the national championship. You had a number of Big 12 teams in the Elite 8, in the Sweet 16. It looks like the best college basketball conference. It does. So you're going to get to compete night in, night out against really, really good quality players. Okay? What about the development side of things? I think that's probably the one knock. The one thing that if I'm Marques Jackson and his family and agent and whatever trying to figure out, okay, what school am I going to? Well, I know I could play. I know I could be the man. I know I'm going to play in a big-time conference, and I'm going to get paid. Well, am I going to be developed? I mean, Ralph and I went through that kind of the other day when we were talking about Jaden Quaintance and all the other players that have come through Tempe on the college basketball front that haven't necessarily been developed. So that's a question mark, right? We put a pin in that, in the whole development category. And then, am I going to win, right? The 5th and the final mark of choosing your recruitment, your stop, where you want to spend a year, 2 years, however long. Again, Arizona State didn't win this past year. What about the year before that? Well, they weren't very good in the Pac-12 last year. 3 tournament appearances in 11 years, 10 years. So, based off the track record, you're saying you're probably not going to win a lot. Unless the talent on the team continues to grow, unless there are other big-time transfers or big-time commits, you are probably a below-average team in the Big 12. That is just honesty. Again, I'm not trying to take personal shots at anybody, but you stack up this current roster versus what the rosters in the Big 12 look like, I'm taking those other rosters. I'm taking those other coaches. But three of the five, Marques Jackson could come in here. He could play. He's going to get national television appearances because guess what? We're in the Big 12. And I'm going to get a bag because the two guys that were getting their bags here, they're gone. St. John's and then still in the transfer portal. I'll take three of those five. If I'm a young kid trying to spend a year or two in college sports, I'm going to get paid. I'm going to be on national TV. And I'm actually going to play. I'm not riding the bench. That's what I want. But that's just me. I would sacrifice the winning and I would sacrifice potential development for those three things. But that is just me. I'd love to know in the chat what you guys would do. It sounds like Will would take maybe the developmental part and the winning part. But again, that's personal opinion. Maybe this kid wanted those things. Maybe I'm leaving something out. What would you do, Captain Redbeard, if you had to choose between those options? Now, I know there are schools out there like an Auburn, right, where, okay, maybe I can have four of those five, right? Or a Tennessee where I can have four of those five. But maybe the bag's not as big. Maybe I want to be on the West Coast because guess what? I'm from North Carolina, and I'm tired of being where I'm at right now. Would you choose a program where you can be on national television in a Power 4 conference, get paid, and you can play? Or would you choose a school where you can maybe not get as much money, not play as much, but your team and the program is going to win, and you could potentially get developed a little bit better?
When you put it that way, I'm choosing the first option.
Right? Like, I feel like it's not that much. It's not that crazy of a jump.
No, not at all. Yeah, I mean, you know, with ASU, you get beautiful weather, NIL, you get a lot of playing time. Like, to a player who needs to grow and develop, like, you know, come on.
Yeah.
Like, what else would you want?
Yeah.
You know?
And I think, again, there are parts to this equation that you can look at if you are a transfer or if you're a young guy and you could say, okay, well, maybe the roster doesn't fill out the way that I'd like it to, right? Like a Jaden Quainton's father, I believe, told ESPN they're looking for a roster that maybe fits a little bit more with developing him and pieces around him. But for a guy that's not Jaden Quainton's level yet, right, or ever, this is like, okay, well, that means there's not enough guys on the court to take my spot. I can go out there and I can hoop. I can play. That's big for a kid that, again, is nationally ranked. These kids are used to playing. These kids are used to starting. They're used to winning. Would you rather win and not play, or would you play and maybe not win as much? I think that kind of goes into it. Or maybe you're the type of guy that's like, you know what? I can do it. I'll get them to win. Marques Jackson, I pray that you can, my man, because there have been a lot of cats come through Tempe that have not necessarily been able to do that at a high level here yet. Not saying it's impossible, but it is a tall task. Stephen Joseph commenting in chat saying, behind a few minutes, but I agree with JJB. Best coming back is huge. I see awesome potential for him, and retention is a great sign. Hopefully he can recruit JQ to come back too. Man, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome if Jaden Quainton said, nah, I pulled a fast one on you. I'm going to come home and be in Tempe. I don't think that's going to happen. I have been wrong in the past, but that would be awesome. Stephen Joseph Comedy also saying, do we know Ali is coming back? No, I haven't heard anything on Amir Ali. If he is announcing his return, I haven't heard anything on Adam Miller as well. Two guys that can still come back that, again, I think would be big in terms of retention, will be nice in terms of depth. I think if Adam Miller comes back, he's your starting shooting guard again. I think if Amir Ali comes back, I think he's probably your starting small forward. Again, just based off of where this team has gone in the transfer portal thus far, I think a perfect role on a much better roster, for lack of better terms, would be Amir Ali as your sixth man or your seventh man coming off the bench, kind of like he was at points this season, where he's getting touches. He's your 3-and-D guy. He's athletic. So, but we'll see. We'll see what this roster continues to kind of fill out, if it fills out, right? There haven't been a ton of transfer portal updates for ASU, at least not good ones. We will get to one of those transfer portal updates on the other side of this quick break. Guys, I want to tell you about our friends over at Empire Today. Look, just like your favorite team needs a home court, a field, ice, look, your home needs a home floor or a home court, to be honest with you. Look, we've all been to those big box stores. You wander endlessly down aisles, and then somehow you end up hauling all these materials home, looking for an installer, coordinating everything by yourself. And it just feels like a massive headache when realistically, all you want is new floors in the best floors for affordable pricing. Well, look, our friends at Empire Today, they can take care of you. So the big question you should be asking yourself is, why is Empire Today your best bet for a new floor? Well, look, Empire Today, they live and breathe flooring, and they will be with you every step of the way. It's a whole different ball game. And get this, you guys can schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. PHNX listeners can receive a $350 discount when you use promo code PHNX. Yep, you heard it right. A $350 discount with code PHNX. Restrictions apply. Visit EmpireToday/PHNX for full details. And look, I'm a big believer in saving money, investing money, and getting your finances straight. It's something that I've been working on through all of 2025, and I can say that I'm slowly but surely getting there with our friends over at Desert Financial Credit Union. It's the only place that you guys can show your team spirit as well every time you make a purchase, with exclusive debit cards branded with your favorite teams, the Cards, Arizona State, NAU if you're a Lumberjack. But the reason that I choose Desert Financial Credit Union is because they have got somebody that can help me with anything. Seriously, you could look to Desert Financial for checkings and savings accounts, mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options. The list just goes on and on and on. Plus, when you open a free checking account online, you're going to get $200 in bonuses. That's right, $200 in bonuses. Get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200. Guys, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. Getting back to Will's comment saying, would you actually sacrifice 1 year of playing time to be a beast and one of the best players in the country in year 2? Absolutely you do. You want to be the guy that dominates and wins. I agree. But again, I think that is a take and an opinion more so of the last 5 to 7 years of college basketball versus where we are right now. Again, if you want to use Jaden Quaintance as an example, this kid could have gone somewhere else. He could have gone to play for likely an Elite 8 team. Would he have played as much at those schools? Probably not, given the talent on their rosters. Would he have gotten paid as much? Potentially. Don't know the NIL war chest for every single team. But you also have to factor in the fact that it feels like everybody transfers, at least once, right? And injuries happen, okay? So look at Jaden Quaintance. If Jaden Quaintance goes to one of these other schools, and let's say he suffers the same injury that he had suffered at Arizona State as a freshman somewhere else, well, guess what? You wrap up year 1, not only with the recovery and everything that you have, but you don't have the same freshman tape, right? Injuries happen, okay? So yes, you'll probably get schools that send you money, send you visits, send you whatever you want based off potential. The reason Jaden Quaintance is the number 1 player available in the transfer portal, in my personal opinion, is because you could turn on the tape and you could see the impact that he makes. He was a starter as a true freshman here. He played defense with the best of them in this conference. He slowly started to develop an offensive bag. The passing that people were talking about when this kid came out of high school, we started to see it down the stretch. If you get hurt at another school where you're not playing, what are these other schools and coaches going to go off of? Because they're not going off of AAU tape, not when the transfer portal is filled with hundreds of players. It's not like it used to be 5 to 7 years ago. So for me, again, even if I feel like I may not get developed to the level that I believe I can be, I'm going to take that hit. I'm going to bite that bullet, and I'm going to go play and get my money now. Because year 2, year 3, year 4, the NBA is not promised, right? These kids that are nationally ranked as top 5 kids, top 10 kids, top 20 kids, the expectations are there. The talent is usually there. One thing goes wrong. Then what? Think about it. If Quaint's tore his knee the way he did here, somewhere else where he didn't play as much, what are these schools going to go off of? Right? Are we still talking about a potential lottery pick? Well, probably not, because we don't have the tape out there. And I know there's the argument, well, if he goes to another school, gets developed, then maybe he doesn't get hurt. Of course, that's an option. I wish real life was like 2K, where I could just go to the settings and turn the injury slider all the way to off. But that's not the world we live in. Stuff happens, right? So to be able to play immediately, to be able to get paid immediately, to get my national television appearances immediately, I'm going to take that because the future isn't promised. That's my 2 cents on why Marques Jackson is an Arizona State Sun Devil. But he's not the only one that decided to join Bobby Hurley's squad this morning and over the weekend. Over the weekend, Bobby Hurley's squad picked up another commit, this time an Oakland forward transfer, Allen David Mukeba. This kid reminds me a lot of a dude that was at Arizona State a couple of years ago. He was a double-double machine before he transferred to Arizona State. Ironically enough, Bryant Selabunge. If you guys remember the name, if I know JJB, I'm sure Will and MC probably remember Bryant Selabunge. This kid reminds me a lot of him. He is somebody that, again, doesn't have the greatest shot in the world. I don't want to see him pulling up. I don't want to see him anywhere behind three-point land. We're going to put some traffic cones there and make sure that he stays away from that area. We just put this guy under the hoop, because under the hoop, he has some elite level post moves. He is strong. He is big. He crashes the offensive glass, which is something that we know Arizona State teams have struggled with in the past. Again, projects more as a 4 to me here. I could see a world where Arizona State just picked up their power forward rotation with a Marques Jackson, and then you've got Allen David. I think that's probably what we're going to see a lot of this season. I don't like either one of them at the center position. But again, Allen David Mukeba, he is 6'8" as well, I believe. I'll double check on that size for everybody. He looks gigantic. If you go to PHNX Sun Devils Twitter and see the actual video, he looks absolutely massive. And I will correct myself here. He is listed at 6'6", 247 pounds. Originally, he was born in Belgium. But this past season at Oakland, averaged 14.6 points per game. I believe he had the best field goal percentage in his conference, which says a lot. But again, he lived and breathed under the basket. So take that with a grain of salt. Did shoot 56.9% from the floor. That is good for 32nd nationally. 7.5 boards per game, 2.3 assists per game as well. His last game at Oakland was the Horizon League Championship semifinal, where Oakland lost to Robert Morris, 76-79. He played 33 minutes, had 18 points, 4 boards, and 3 assists. Again, this is another power forward, in my estimation, that I feel like could fit really well on a roster with a true point guard, Frankie Collins, come home, and some shooters on the perimeter. You've got your point guard, we're driving, we're kicking. That's what happens at Bobby Hurley School, and we're either got an open 3, knock on wood, with Adam Miller or another shooter, or we're taking it to the rack and we're either kicking it to our big guy under the hoop, or if you got an athletic enough point guard like Frankie Collins, we're just going to go ahead and yam it ourselves. Okay, so I don't hate this addition to the roster. I think this is a great depth addition to the roster. I am still waiting for the knock my socks off transfer portal addition. I don't know if you guys at home are waiting for that same thing. I don't know if it's going to come at any point. I love the addition from Marques Jackson in the recruiting class. I think Mukeba and Mo Odom and some of these other guys are good depth pieces, guys that you're going to see out on the floor a lot. I'm still waiting on a heavy hitter. I'm still waiting on somebody that I can look at on this roster any given night, and I could say, he's got it. Don't worry. We can lean back. If everybody else is off, I trust this guy. I trust him. I don't think he's on the roster yet. And if he is, yikes. Yikes. Because you got a dude coming from Oakland, you got a dude coming from Pepperdine, and you got a bunch of high schoolers. You need to hope you return and retain Adam Miller. You are praying to whatever God you believe in that Frankie Collins comes home and that Trevor Best takes that next step. Where's your heavy hitter? Cactus Johnny in chat saying Collins is a career 56% free throw shooter. Nice player, but definitely not a heavy hitter. I think, again, in terms of the conversation of heavy hitter, he is more so a heavy hitter than what you've added already in the transfer portal. Again, I don't want to knock these guys, but based off of the conferences and the leagues that they're playing in, Pepperdine and Oakland don't knock my socks off. They don't. They're talented basketball players that I think can be great pieces. They have the potential to be. But how often do we say when we're talking about Arizona State basketball, they got good depth pieces, they got guys that would thrive in certain systems, but there isn't a star. That was the issue this year. Is you were watching Big 12 basketball and you could point to all these teams. You watch Houston tonight. You watch Houston against Duke, LJ Cryer, and the boys were going crazy. But guess who came in clutch? It was LJ Cryer. You watch the Arizona Wildcats and gosh, the taste in my mouth just, I hate it having to talk about them. But you can point to them. You can say, oh, okay, Caleb Love. That was their guy. UCF even had a guy, Keshawn Hall. There are a number of teams. Kansas, Hunter Dickinson. They all had a guy. Arizona State didn't have a guy. And they need to. In this conference, you have to. If you don't, you are going to get whacked every single night in this conference. It is that good. The NCAA tournament should have showed you that. Will you get a guy? Will Arizona State and Bobby Hurley go get one? Are there any realistic options still on the market that can go to Arizona State and immediately contribute 20 points a game at Big 12 level? I hope to God Bobby Hurley answers that question soon. And I know the actual season isn't over. It ends tonight. But once that's wrapped up, once the buzzer sounds tonight, got to dive in that portal and you got to go get the biggest, the baddest, most athletic guard that I have seen if you want to keep the job. I think that's where we're at. I don't think that is crazy to say. I don't think that is disrespectful. I think that is the truth. I think based off of what we have seen thus far, if Bobby Hurley doesn't make a splash in the portal and gets a guy that can seriously put up 20 points a night in this conference, we got a lame duck. I think that's just the truth. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Steven Joseph commenting in the chat saying, I want Adam Miller back more than any transfer. He's amazing, so underrated. One of the highest three-point percentages in ASU history this year. And he can get to the hoop, play D. He's a locker room leader. I like the step that Adam Miller took. I remember the first time I watched Adam Miller at ASU. I believe it was the game they played at the Suns Arena 2 years ago, after the whole NCAA waiver situation. Adam Miller looked like a walking bucket. Dude's got handles. He's got a three-point shot. I love your comment about the defense that he plays. Somebody that's been a part of this system. I like it. He'd be a veteran. He could come back for his last year of college athletics. He's also a good buddy of Frankie Collins. I'm here for it. Bring Adam Miller home. I'm cool for it. He's already on a Desert Financial Credit Union sign on 7th Street. Keep it up. They shouldn't have to take down their signs. I'm here for it, Steven. I absolutely am. MC in the chat saying we need more than a guy. We need a floor general and a leader. Don't confuse that with a point guard, a vocal leader. I agree. I don't know the last time Arizona State had one. Was it Desmond Cambridge, probably? DJ Horn? Guys that looked like dudes, for lack of better terms. Desmond Cambridge was your walking bucket. DJ Horn was a walking bucket. A couple years back, Marion Jackson. He was a walking bucket at times. But he was a transfer, right? I think it's still possible. I think it is. I'm not writing this season is done by any means, but more needs to happen. And I'm waiting for that notification or that text or that call that come up on my phone, and I could say, there it is. Here's that guy, right? I love it. Everybody in the chat, just name a dude. Just name a dude that was an ASU basketball player that you could turn on the game and you're like, man, this guy, he's good for 20. I see Shannon Evans in there. Cambridge was in there. Just start naming them. Just start naming those dudes. We're going to talk some ASU football after this quick break. Look, I told you guys before the weekend started that given everything that happened last week, everything that's happened with ASU basketball over the course of the last couple months, that I was going to indulge in some pure edibles. I wasn't lying. Pure edibles, guys. My favorite part about them is they taste like candy, not like actual edibles. Pure is literally a full-fledged candy company offering gummies. They got Kicks, which is their version of Starburst. They got chews, soft candies like caramel, and to quote Senor Rubis, they got the hard candies for all you hard candy lovers out there, senior citizens, etc. And look, Pure Effects, they're clearly listed on each tin, so you know exactly what effects you guys can expect. They got gummies for sleep support as well as candies for uplifting effects. I like to have the uplifting a little bit earlier in the day, and then maybe an hour or two before bed, we are going to indulge in those sleep support gummies. Go find yourself some Pure Edibles products from one of the over 130 dispos across Arizona. Look, of course, PHNX Sun Devils show, we usually rock and we roll here in Studio K. Shout out our friends and our family over at Circle K. Look, they are America's thirst shop. They have got great snacks. They have got great drinks. And you're probably sitting at home, well, is great snacks, great drinks enough? Well, I'll tell you what is. They got great deals to help you save every single day on gas with their free membership program. That's right, I said free membership program called Inner Circle, which literally takes you like 30 seconds to enroll in. Just download the app from the App Store, enter your email and phone number, and boom, you guys are gonna be a part of that Inner Circle family. And then you can start scoring those deals when you pull up to the pump, type in your phone number, and your first 5 fill-ups, you guys can save 25 cents per gallon. Every single day after that, you guys can save 3 cents per gallon as well. Also, a couple days from now, April 10th, they've got an Inner Circle Fuel Day. You guys can save big there as well. Join Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. Woo! That's where I'm at, energy-wise today. Captain, how you feeling?
Feeling good, man.
Feeling good?
Yeah, we're getting some new players on the football side.
Oh, yeah.
It's a good day.
I'm absolutely here for it. Will saying Cody Justice. Will also saying Jeff Pendergraph. MC saying Zylan Cheatham. Cheatham was an animal. He really was. Jacob saying Rob Edwards could turn it on. He could. Man, that Rob Edwards team was fun. That team was super, super fun. Again, hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button out there. Ben saying, out here naming dudes with the PHNX Sun Devils crew, 24-hour stream vibes. Yeah, if you missed it, our 24-hour stream, we were just naming dudes. Ain't that right, Captain? Every hour on the hour, we threw out a letter and we were just naming dudes.
What do you think was like the best name that we named in the 24 hours, or that the stream also contributed?
There were some great ones from the stream, to be honest with you.
I know it was a ton of names. We have a whole whiteboard of names.
I think there were some basketball players on, like a Tracy McGrady was a good one. I think there are some letters where it's like, okay, this is going to be super, super easy. And then you get there and you like name like 3 or 4. You're like, where do we go from here?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I think Ro Torrance was on there, former ASU DB. I loved all the ASU shouts. I think those were good. Cyrus Fiaseu was always a nice one. Did you have one off the top of your head?
I can't think of one off the top of my head. We named so many during that stream.
How many do you think we named?
Oh man, that's a good question. I want to say 2,000.
We definitely named a lot of dudes.
Yeah, we filled that whole whiteboard.
Yeah,
so.
And the whiteboard's still up.
Yeah,
so I hope that thing never gets erased. just memories and moments.
Frame it
from the PHNX Sun Devils show. Look, I do want to get to ASU football. Definitely some things to tackle on that front as well. Starting with some of the new commits that Arizona State football was able to get Defensive back Jalen Williams, a 4-star commit. We'll get into what this kid, kind of his track record, what he looks like, but I want to show you guys my favorite part of Jalen Williams, and it's the tape. Turn this on this morning. This kid, as a defensive back, is the real deal. I wouldn't put too much stock into this pick six because the quarterback literally threw it right to him. I don't know what was going on in the pocket, but all of these other plays, this kid looks like he is going to be a great defensive back for Arizona State. Whether it's on the perimeter, whether he slots in more at the nickel spot, look at him here. Reading the eyes of the quarterback. He's got a good feel for where that wide receiver is, pushing him outwards, jump ball 50-50. Just kidding. It's 80-20. Jalen Williams going the other way. Again, kind of ISO on the bottom here. He's running the route for the dude. Pick. We're going the other way. I love the length of Jalen Williams. I think that's something that you can look at for Arizona State, kind of as they're trying to build their recruiting classes, as they're trying to build their DBs, is they want lengthy, long corners. Jalen Williams kind of fits those parameters at that corner spot. Again, not afraid to tackle. Great ball skills here. Again, jumped the route, saw it, foot in the dirt, made a play. Okay? And again, at Arizona State, you got to do everything. You got to play DB, you got to play in coverage, and you got to lay the wood. This kid brings it. Okay? That's something that I think is going to make an impact for Arizona State when he eventually arrives on campus. Again, he's not going to be in a Sun Devil uniform, I don't believe, this season. But this kid's a class of 2026. Yeah, class of 2026 defensive back. He is a 3-star, so excuse me for 24/7 Sports on that front. Listed at 6 foot, $160. I feel like he plays taller than that. He plays bigger than 160 pounds, plays bigger than 6 foot. Will in the chat saying 4-star Georgia recruit. Yeah, he is coming from Georgia, which is huge. You know the ball players that they have over on that side of the country. I like seeing Arizona State dip their toe a little bit outside of the, what word am I looking for? Out of their own kind of sandbox here. You know that ASU likes to recruit locally. You know that they like to go get talent in Texas. You know that California is always a hub. Hawaii's been a hub lately. So for them to go into Georgia, say, hey, come be a Sun Devil, I think that's big. Again, this kid had plenty of offers. He could have gone to a number of different schools and a number of schools in the conference. He had Oklahoma State as an offer, BYU as an offer, Cincinnati as an offer, some of the other bigger schools that he had. You had SEC Ole Miss out there. You had SEC Tennessee. You had A&M. So, again, he had a number of places that he could have gone. He decided to go with your Big 12 champions, Arizona State. I think having the Big 12 champion on the end of that for the Sun Devils this season has definitely made an impact in where the Sun Devils stand in terms of recruiting. I believe 24/7 Sports has Arizona State as the second-ranked Big 12 recruiting class as it stands right now. The only reason that Kansas has a higher ranking is because I believe the Jayhawks sit at about 14 commits, 14 or 15. Someone check me on that. And Arizona State only has 8 right now. So for the Sun Devils to be sitting at 8 and second in this conference tells me that Arizona State will soon enough take over that number 1 spot in this conference. They are inside the top 25 in class of 2026 recruiting rankings as well. But moving from defense to offense, you got an offensive commit today, interior offensive lineman Marques Uini. So I apologize in advance if I screwed up that name. We're going to get Marques on the show here, hopefully in the next few days or weeks, so that'll be cool. 3-star interior offensive lineman. Get this. This kid is an interior offensive lineman. He is still in high school. I don't know what you guys looked like in high school. I didn't look like this guy. 6'4", 293 pounds. In high school. 6'4", 293 pounds. I don't ever remember Arizona State under Herm Edwards, under Todd Graham, correct me if I'm wrong, getting offensive linemen out of high school that looked like this guy, that had that size, that were that caliber. Oh, he goes to high school in Texas. Texas to Tempe, keep it cooking. It's legit. It's no longer, hey, we're trying to build this. It's we're here now. We're in Texas. Arizona State has a footprint in Texas. You don't believe it? Go look at where that Big 12 championship was. Home of the Dallas Cowboys. Iowa State got ran out the building. You think those kids didn't know that? You think the kids here locally, that if there was a conference championship over at State Farm Stadium, they wouldn't know who was playing in it? They wouldn't see the final score? You'd be wrong. Arizona State's footprint in Texas is only going to get bigger. The players that they are going to get from the state of Texas are only going to get bigger, better, faster, and more athletic. It's the truth. And with winning comes better players. With better players comes more winning. And with all that comes more money. Arizona State done have been saying, watch out. Watch out for Dilly and the Devils, man. It's the truth. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. Continuing to talk Arizona State football. Kenny on Saturday was asked kind of what he's still looking for, what they're still trying to evaluate through the rest of spring football. Just a couple weeks left before you have that spring game or fan fest, whatever they're calling it. What does Kenny want to see? Well, he wants to see maybe 6 to 7 to 8 young guys that they can count on, that they can look at in crunch time when somebody goes down, when somebody needs a breather, that they can call their number, they can call their name, hey, get out there, we need you. We need you for a play, we need you for a drive, we need you for a quarter, we need you for a half. That's what they need to see. From what I've seen over at spring practice, the young guys are developing. They're starting to get there, right? They're going to have to count on some guys this year that they didn't have to count on last year. I think you're going to see more Martell Hughes this year at linebacker. Didn't have to really count on him last year. Made some plays, but you didn't have to count on him because you had Caleb McCullough, right? At the nickel spot, you're going to be counting a lot on Montana Warren, who I know maybe in the grand scheme of things doesn't still feel young to folks because he's been at Arizona State now going on his 3rd year. This is the first year you're going to really have to count on him, right? Offensive line-wise, Sean Naw, you're going to have to count on him. Is he considered a young guy? Well, maybe in the grand scheme of things, maybe. But I've got 3 guys that I think Arizona State needs to be able to count on this season if they hope to repeat as a Big 12 champion. At some key positions too. So let's go ahead. This is what we got for the Heat Index. Starting with Tony Lewis and Kuba. Tony Lewis and Kuba, a freshman last year, projected as a corner when he got to Arizona State. Because of the corner depth that Arizona State does have, Tony Lewis and Kuba has kicked over and has started now practicing with the safeties. So you'll likely see Tony Lewis and Kuba this season at that safety spot. He isn't like what he's listed at doesn't really feel like his true size to me. He's listed at 6 foot, $180. I'll be honest with you, man. Out there, he looks bigger than that. He looks like he's at least 6'1", maybe 6'2". He's long, which maybe is why he looks taller to me, right? I have short guy arms, right? Short king arms. So I'm not built like that. You see me and you're like, that guy's definitely 5'8" or below, right? Tony Lewis and Kuba, who's listed at 6 foot, I look at him, I'm like, dude, you're like 6'2". You have to be. He's that long. He's added some weight. He's gotten a little bit bigger. I believe they said between 10 to 15 pounds last time I checked with somebody, so he's bigger. But again, he is a guy who's a redshirt freshman that you are going to have to count on now at that safety spot. Why? Well, you lost some guys. You lost Kamari Wilson to the transfer portal. You don't have enough like nickel depth. Realistically, you lost Cole Martin, Shamari's in the draft. So in terms of safeties, who do you got? You got Xavier Alford and Miles Rouser, maybe the best safety tandem in the Big 12. I'm going to go out and say it is the best safety tandem in the Big 12. What happens if somebody needs a break? Somebody goes down. Well, Tony, you're getting the call. And you're going to have to be that guy for Arizona State this season. I'm not saying you have to go out there and be an all-conference kind of player. Would that be nice? I mean, my goodness, yeah. But you got to be able to give Arizona State the same types of reps that I think Caleb McCullough was given at the linebacker position last year. Caleb McCullough won Arizona State that Utah game. I know there's coach speak that say, oh, it was a team game. Team played well. Absolutely right. Go watch that Utah game one more time. Caleb McCullough, I believe, had 2 interceptions in that game. He was a dog. He was an animal. Really turned around his season. Because the linebacker room was Cyrus Fiaseu, it was Keyshawn Elliott, it was Jordan Crook. Caleb McCullough had that game, and now we got a full 4-man rotation at that linebacker spot, minus Martell Hughes, who played a little bit. If Tony Lewis and Kuba can transform and evolve and develop through the rest of spring practice, through Camp Tantazona, through early fall camp, into a guy that can give you consistent reps, consistent play, the back end of this defense is going to be a problem for offenses in the conference. Believe it. Getting on to our next young buck who I think needs to be able to help ASU this season. That is Albert Smith III, excuse me. This kid is a redshirt freshman as well as a defensive end listed at 6'1", 225 pounds. Another guy that I look out there where I was like, as a sophomore in college, because that's what he is years-wise, right? He's a redshirt freshman. I was a sophomore. I was like, I weighed like 140 pounds. This kid is 6'1", 225. He looks bigger. He looks absolutely bigger than 6'1", 225 pounds. As a defensive end, Arizona State is going to need that. They're going to need that size, and what they're going to need most is something that I've been harping on for a long time now. They need a pass rush. I think Elijah O'Neal, I think Clayton Smith, I think Prince Dorba, I think they can all get it done. I think they will all be consistent forces for Arizona State in whatever way that Brian Ward and company choose to use them. But I need, and the coaching staff needs to be able to count on another guy. You can never have too many pass rushers. And realistically, Arizona State needs to find their pass rush of the future, because you're going to get a lot of guys that after this year won't be Sun Devils. Eligibility reasons. Elijah O'Neal will be done after this year. Prince Dorba will be done after this year. Clayton Smith, I believe, will be done after this year. I could be wrong on that, but I believe he will be done after this season. Which means what? Well, either Arizona State is going to have to load up in the transfer portal with guys, or they're going to have to look at a guy that is already on the roster and say, hey, you know the system, you've been here for a couple years, and most importantly, you gave us quality reps when you were younger that leads us to believe that you can step in and you could fill the gaps. You could fill the roles left by those before you. So, Albert Smith III, are you that guy? Because I think you need to be. I think you need to be that guy this season. There's not a ton of pass rushing depth on this team. You saw last season, you saw Dorba go down, played with some injuries. It's not a guarantee everybody stays healthy. Of course, knock on wood, I wish I could turn the injury sliders off, but you can't. Albert Smith is going to need to be a consistent force on this team. I think Tony Lewis and Kuba probably needs to have a more impactful year than Albert Smith, because I do think there's a tiny bit more depth on the defensive line, specifically at edge rusher, than there is at that safety spot. But I still think Albert Smith needs to play a role. Bringing us home on the Heat Index, a guy that you need to see have a strong year. We're turning to the offense. Give me Zechariah Sample. Now, this one might be a little confusing to some folks at home, because you are listening on audio or you're watching and you're saying, well, why do you need to have a young receiver turn up? Because I look at the roster, I see a bunch of talented wide receivers who still have some eligibility left, right? You look at this wide receiver room, it's loaded, it's packed. Too many people in the elevator type packed. You got Jordan Tyson, you got Malik McClain, you got Jaron Hamilton, you got Jalen Moss, you got Noble Johnson, you got Chance, you got a lot of folks, got a lot of mouths to feed in this offense. A lot. So why does this young guy need to step up? Well, you got to look where he's playing. I think Jalen Moss is your surefire starting slot guy. I feel pretty confident in that. But who do you got behind him? Because all those other guys I listed, like a Jaron Hamilton, he's playing on the perimeter. Malik McClain, he's playing on the perimeter. Tyson's on the perimeter. You need a shifty, fast matchup nightmare at that slot spot. You have to have it. Jalen Moss can get open. Great route runner, great release, great hands. Feel confident in what he does. You need depth. Don't get me wrong. I think Derek Eusebio is another name that you could put in this conversation. I think that Zechariah Sample is slightly more explosive than Derek is. I think this kid was a higher rated recruit. I don't think he was. It's time to step up. It's time to have that moment. Now, does he need to step up and produce immediately at the slot spot? No. I think Albert Smith and Tony Mukeba are both guys that probably need to contribute more at their respective positions. But when I look at Zechariah Sample and I look at where he can contribute for Arizona State immediately, I go straight to special teams. Kick return, punt return. You lost your guy. Melquan Stovall's gone. Headed to the league, hopefully, right? So you need somebody that's quick, that's shifty, that in my personal opinion isn't a crucial piece of the offense because I don't believe in sticking out my best skill player on special teams. That is just my personal opinion. I know that there are a bunch of players and coaches that would disagree with that. But Zechariah Sample isn't a starting 3 wide receiver on this team. But what he can give you is he could be a guy on punt return that takes what looks like a 2-yard return to a 15-yard return, to a 25-yard return. Maybe this is just my memory getting bad in my old age. I can't remember the last time Arizona State had a punt return touchdown. Not a blocked punt for a touchdown, but a punt return for a touchdown or a kick return for a touchdown. I know Elijah Badger had a really, really big return a couple years back. I know Melquan had a return or 2 here or there. But a guy that can give you 6 on special teams, that can flip the field the other way, I mean, you can't overstate the importance of that. And Zechariah Sample, again, can show you the explosiveness. I think he could be a serious, serious threat for this team. I think him and Raleek Brown on special teams will be a lot of fun. But maybe fun doesn't get it done, right? Maybe Kenny and company are looking for something different. But if you're going to get an explosive guy that could take anything back to the crib, that can make dudes miss, that can outrun opposing defenders, Zechariah Sample is that guy on this roster. He absolutely is. He is one of the fastest players on this team. He's maybe not as fast as Jaron Hamilton, but he's quick. He can move. Just my 2 cents on the whole thing. We'll throw that up there one more time for everybody to see some young guys who I think need to contribute this year for Arizona State to repeat. Tony Lewis and Kuba at that safety spot. Albert Smith III on the defensive line, and then Zechariah Sample both at the slot and or special teams. B-Dub, I appreciate the comment in the chat, man. I appreciate that. Will saying, talking about the D-line guys leaving is making me more excited for the next 2 commits. Eye emoji. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Jacob saying we need a Will Sutton. That we do. We need a Will Sutton. I could be the Will Sutton. I got some eligibility left. I'm not that big. I could give you a play. I could be a body out there. That's realistically all I could say on that front. Will saying the first touchdown in the 77 game was a kickoff for a touchdown. Give me one that's 70 to 7 happened long ago, man. I want one sooner than that. Is that fair, Captain?
N'Keal Harry.
Dear Lord. We're going all the way back to N'Keal Harry in college. I need another one.
That's pretty epic. He scored a return touchdown. They beat USC 38-35.
What year was that?
2020. Yep.
2020, 5 years ago. half decade? Every
Yeah,
half decade?
long time ago.
Every half decade, Arizona State gets a kickoff return for a touchdown? Nah, not good enough. Guys, that's going to do it for today's episode of the PHNX Sun Devils Show. Hit that like button, the subscribe button on your way out. If you enjoyed today's content, give us a follow at PHNX_Sun Devils. You can follow me at Anthony_Totri. You can follow that guy over there behind the Mac, making all the magic happen at K Coop Sports. And everybody, wish Eric Ruby a happy birthday. We will see you guys tomorrow for some more spring football talk. But in the meantime, go Devils. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.